Hey, it's a preacher, and today I'm going to show you how I light my fire in my wood burning stove. I grew up with a fireplace, always made fires growing up, campfires out in the woods. Wood burning stove's a little bit different. You got a smaller wood box, you got a more direct air, and anyways, I'm just going to give you a couple tips. If you've never made a fire in a wood burning stove, I'm going to show you how I do it. So let me show you what I got laid out. Look out, champ, let's build a fire. Okay, I've got some bigger logs here. I say bigger, I mean I will put some really big logs on before I go to bed. But I've got some larger logs, some smaller logs, and then I've got some kindling. And kindling's just any thin pieces of wood. That way you get a good surface area. And then these here, these smaller logs light. And then I have what we in the South call pine knots, which is just a few pieces of pine wood that has dried out and it's got resin in it. And I don't know, you can kind of see as I turn it, some people call it fat wood, but you can light this with a match and it will catch. And then my stove, I just cleaned all the ashes out, let everything burn out, clean the ashes out. You leave a little ash in the bottom. You don't want to just get in there and sweep it every time. At the end of the year, if you want to sweep it out, that'd be fine, but you want to leave a half inch of ash down there, and that just kind of protects your bottom. So we've got this cleaned out. Let me show you how I put the wood in there. You want a fire, boy? Champ, you want a fire? Alright, he wants a fire. Okay, so the main thing to realize about a wood burning stove is where your air comes in. And this is a Yodel Carabasset stove, and this controls my air. Over here turns my air off. Over on this side opens it wide open. That air is coming out right under this little flange here. You can feel some grates there, and that's where the air is being directed in. So let me get a poker stick here, a little pointer. The air comes in at the bottom, goes across, and is drawn to the top when it heats. In the top of my stove, you can see this fresh air intake. This helps burn any wood gas. It goes around that and then out the chimney. So you get kind of a convection. You get wood, you get air coming in the bottom, going through the flames or where you want to build your fire, rising to the top, more fresh air, you get a secondary burn, then it goes out the back. The first thing I do is I put a log in the back. I set that log back there for the purpose of laying these logs on it. So what that's going to do is prop up the back end of those logs and get them up off the ground where air can get underneath them. You need three things to have a fire. Number one, you need a fuel source. We got wood. You need heat. We got matches. And you need oxygen. And that oxygen needs to be able to get to your fuel source. I start putting kindling in the back. And I stack it across the logs. And the smaller pieces like this, I break, and this is just oak, and I just start wedging them up in there. And I lay these little pieces toward the back. Remember, our air's coming here. We're going to start our fire here and let the flames go to the back. So we want the smaller wood right here where we're going to build our fire, where we want it to catch. And then we'll lay some of these smaller logs right here. And we're stacking everything to the back. Bring in here for a close-up. So you see all the little smaller twigs I have right here, the small kindling, then the larger kindling, the two larger logs, the big log in the back, and then these lighter logs on top. I'm going to wedge that in there. I'm going to be using some vintage matches. Show you those right there. I got those out of my aeronautical safety or emergency kit. I opened this up under my, this is the first video in my cool old stuff playlist. So let me get this lit. Let's see if they light. These matches are about 50 years old. There's a look at one. Let's see. Woo. To be honest with you, I wasn't quite ready for that. Okay, we finally got our pine knot lit. Now that's the sapwood, the fat wood. Now let's shut the door. Watch what happens when we shut. Now when I shut the door, you can see the fire really starts dancing. That's the air sucking in from the bottom. As this heats up in here, it'll draw even more and more air as more and more heat begins to go out the chimney. We're just going to let that go, and I'll leave you here and let this run. I'll come back when it's good and lit. Okay, it's been just about 10 minutes since I sped things up real time, 10 minutes. And I want to open this door, and you crack the door a little bit and then hesitate, and it will not let so much smoke out. All of our kindling, which you see down here, is pretty much burned up, but we've lit our big logs on top. So I'm going to move things around a little bit, move these logs that are on top where they're a little bit closer to the kindling, and push the kindling around. Shut the door. Well, it's been about an hour. I kind of quit paying attention. I threw a couple logs on there. But there's the log in the back that we started with, way back in here. And then I've thrown a couple more in there on top of it. But easy to get you a really nice hot fire going. Alright, so let me recap that for you real quick. Your air intake is on the bottom, in the front. So when you're going to build a fire on a wood burning stove, put your smallest kindling on the bottom close to the air vent so that it gets plenty of oxygen to light and ignite. Put your big log in the back, ramp some logs up in there, lay some bigger kindling on top. Let it get lit. When it gets good and lit and your kindling kind of burns out, scoot those bigger logs around, let them rub up against each other. They'll keep each other lit. And I'm dealing with green wood, so it's harder to light. But either way, you can see there, I moved some logs around, got them close together, and got them lit. And then threw some more on it. You can do the same thing. Lighting a wood burning stove is easy. All it takes is to start out with if you don't have a pine knot, you can put a fire starter, some crumpled up newspaper. You just need something that you can light with a match, that will light some small stuff, that will light some bigger stuff, that will burn long enough to light the logs. And that's what it takes. So thanks for watching. I hope that helps.